He reached into the stolen poke and pulled out one of the large nuggets. The weight of it in his hand gave him goosebumps. "If only the old man could see me now," Johnny said. "I know the old drunken bastard would be proud." Then, just as Johnny thought he was starting to see the light, the train lurched and started to slow down. Johnny felt a growing fear in his belly as he looked outside across the vast Seton Lake. "This is no place for a train to be stopping," he thought to himself, and in his heart, he knew the law had not given up yet. The train chugged over a small bridge, crossing a turbulent creek from the mountains. Johnny jumped out onto the trail next to the track. Johnny looked back towards Lillooet and saw the Mounties on horseback walking down the tracks towards him. "Bastards!" he cursed as he turned around to run in the other direction. 2 engineers were walking down the tracks towards him as he turned. "There is no escape, outlaw!" one of the engineers yelled in Johnny's direction. Both of the engineers were armed. One of them carried a shotgun and loaded 2 shells into the chamber. Johnny quickly stepped between one of the boxcars, making his way to the other side of the train. The engineer with the shotgun fired off a blast from his weapon, but the shot ripped into the mountainside. Johnny made his way between the boxcars. When he reached the other side of the train, he jumped off the tracks and ran toward the creek, where he noticed a trail heading upstream and into the mountains. Wasting no time, he followed the trail up the creek into the unknown. Meanwhile, the Mounties had reached the other side of the bridge and were greeted by the engineers, who just caught the back of Johnny Chance as he disappeared into the mountains. Chapter 2. The battle on Mission Mountain. "He went up the trail that leads over Mission Mountain," the engineer said. "But we don't have time to follow him. I must have this train in Vancouver first thing in the morning. Besides, it's not my job to chase outlaws." He yelled to Fred Foreman. "I couldn't agree more, sir. Thanks for stopping the train." "My men and I can handle this from here," Foreman replied as he and his 2 men crossed over the bridge and followed the trail up into the mountains to catch themselves an outlaw. Johnny was running out of breath as the sun beamed on his head. He removed his beat-up old hat and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He looked behind to see if there was any sign of the law, but the police who had chased him out of Lillooet were nowhere to be seen. At least not yet. Thank God for that. Jail was not somewhere that Johnny Chance would ever spend any time in again in this lifetime. There had to be a way to break out of this poverty. If only he could find some gold. Then he would finally be free, the dream of every man. "God, I can't wait to make it to the top of this damn mountain," Johnny mumbled to himself. He kept hiking up the never-ending trail. After what seemed like hours, Johnny arrived at the top of the path. He paused to look at the scenery and saw the Bridge River snaking through the green valley below. "It sure is beautiful," Johnny thought to himself. "If only I had a girl to share it with, but that's not going to happen anytime soon." Women liked their men clean and prosperous, and Johnny Chance was far from that. He was nice to look at least that's what he had been told by his old love, long left behind on the wharves of San Francisco. Johnny continued his trek down the trail. He rounded a corner and noticed a large landslide covering the trail and gigantic boulders scattered about. "If you want more, please like or comment. We need 5 likes to continue this tale,"